Hey everyone, Charles Dobbins here. I want to welcome you to this vlog. This one's cool. I just finished the Monday night call, and because of the subject matter that we're going to be covering here today, you're actually going to see the guts of the phone call today. So what's going to happen, what you're going to learn about, is a new computer software platform that is out there. It's called Enodo, Enodo, and it is a way for you to be able to identify the market rates, the market cost of multifamily properties. I can't even do it justice in trying to give you the explanation. So I want you to meet the founder, Marc Rutzen, and he's going to explain to you exactly how it works. I'm telling you right now, the members of my owner forum understood that this program is a game changer. And at the end of the program, there's going to be a link that's going to show you how to sign up, and so that you can give it a try and give it a whirl and test it out. And if you're looking to make offers on multifamily properties and you want to make sure that you're making the right offers and you've got the data to support your numbers, you got to check this out. This is great stuff. This is going to allow you to go into markets that you haven't been in or you're not that familiar with and be incredibly knowledgeable. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Marc Rutzen and show you exactly how the program works. And then wait for me on the other end and I'll show you how you can sign up for it. Marc Rutzen is the founder of Enodo, which is a website that helps you. I mean, listen, I'm not even going to, it is so cool. I got to take a look at it. It is what everyone here should be using to really help identify if they're dealing with a good property or if they're made the right offer price. So I am going to unmute Marc Rutzen right now, and he is going to, let's welcome, give him a big welcome to the owner forum. Marc, you are now unmuted. You can chat. And then look at Brian DeCola. Really, Brian, you want to join Mike Butler's owner forum? Come on. Marc, can you hear me?
I can.
Good.
Guys. Very good.
Welcome aboard. And, you've been sitting patiently by for the last half hour, and I want to welcome you to the call. And listen, should we just go right into it? I mean, first off, what I think you should do, Marc, is tell everybody, your pedigree and how you got into multifamily and how your product and your program all came about.
Yeah. So just quick synopsis on me. My background was in real estate development and consulting, and a little bit of brokerage. So for 5 years, I worked in the industry. I did some consulting projects where, it got increasingly data heavy. People would ask me, can I do this development, this micro unit development in this market when it, resonated and worked perfectly in this market? I'd say, well, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Let's look at the data. Let's do a regression analysis. Let's see if I were to reduce that square footage, would it be possible? Would it be viable in this other market? And, then I got into things like projecting demographic trends, doing some macro analysis and then very, very micro analysis, and, got enough volume and enough traction on those different consulting agreements that it made sense to productize what I was doing. And so the idea for Enodo came with this whole concept of quantifying the drivers of real estate value. How much do those concentric ring demographics actually mean for your investment opportunity? How much is the granite countertop, the hardwood floor, the rooftop deck you're going to put in a value add? What's that going to get you in terms of rent? And that's what Enodo actually helps you figure out. It's applying data science to a stream of data covering about 2 million properties nationwide and using it to discern the drivers of value and help you underwrite a lot more efficiently. And so I'm happy to show you guys.
Yeah, why don't Marc? I'm gonna give you the ball, as they say. I'm gonna make you the host, so then you can share your screen and show everybody exactly what you got.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, you are now the host.
Okay, let me know when you guys are able to see my screen here.
Yep, right there.
Perfect. Okay, so, Enodo is a series of tools here, right? So it's not just one, platform that does one thing. It's got many different facets to it because deals are not just one thing. They have many different facets to them. And so, just as a high level, we've been selling this thing since January. We've got some of the biggest names in the industry on the platform right now. But I don't think that these guys, these are all groups with tons of analysts. They have like 10 analysts to tackle every deal. You guys presumably don't have 10 analysts to tackle every deal. So I really want to start building a platform more toward the needs of investors like you that could really leverage the predictive analytics in this platform and use it to underwrite more quickly. So to start off, I'll show you just a very simple, completely free tool on our website that can be a huge time saver for you guys. So you mentioned rent rolls earlier. I was listening to you guys talking about some of the deals you were doing. One thing that you can do very quickly with Enodo here is actually parse a rent roll that has broken out cost codes and some complexity to it. So let me actually open this here and show you what this looks like. So I've got a rent roll with some broken out cost codes, and it's kind of dirty here, and there's a lot. It's going to be hard to translate this very readily to Excel, but I'll go load it into the platform here, and I'll show you what it does. So it's going to take a couple seconds here. It's going to load, but this is using machine learning to parse through the rent roll and pick out the salient details, the trends for rents. Now this is like a 531 unit property here. So you're actually going to see the trends for average rent among in-place leases in the rent roll or rent per square foot, and be able to break it out very, very succinctly. Again, if you had parsed this and put it into Excel manually, this could take a pretty long time to do. Lease expirations, where's your exposure? Are all the leases coming due off peak season or during peak leasing season, and what's your potential exposure from that? Breaking it down by the last 2 leases signed for each floor plan compared to the last 90 days, last 60 days, last 30 days.
Okay, so Marc, in that particular case, what you're saying is that if you show the last 2 leases signed for a particular unit style versus the last 90 days, it kind of gives you a 90-day trend for, is the rent moving in the right direction? Is the rent moving in the wrong direction?
Exactly. So you've got, the ability to kind of see, hey, as time goes on, maybe these rents are not going in the right direction. Maybe, this is what's in place today may not hold in the near future. So
Marc, what you also see is whether the owner has been just leasing up as quickly as he possibly can in the last 90 days, while he's trying to sell the property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you can see the raw data for that here. If you want to look at, the different months that these leases are starting, this is lease starts by month and the total dollar volume of each and the percent of the total market rent and in versus in place. And then you've got expirations by month, so you can see your exposure. And of course, we break this out too by floor plan. So you've got all your data, and then you've got the actual, each individual unit with the cost codes broken out, so you could get your net effective rent. And this one I think is pretty simple. They added some concessions to them, like 1 month, 2 months free, whatever it may be. So I wanted to show you guys this just as a kind of entree into some of the stuff Enodo does. This would be one component of a broader analysis that you're doing in the platform. So let me actually dive into the platform here and show you.
So that's the rent. So that was the free rent roll tool that you have. Now we're getting over into the paid side of the program.
Exactly. So this is where the real analytics come into play. What we're doing is we're crunching data from RealPage, so Yardi, RealPage, and Trada. Some of our biggest customers have integrated their portfolios through these property management platforms. We get it from about 40,000 property websites nationwide. So this is covering every single market. We get it from about 15 listing sites that are individual where you go put your units for rent. And then we get it from uploaded rent rolls and T12s from our own users. And what we do is we take that, of course, anonymize it, but then we train a series of machine learning algorithms on it to discern those drivers of real estate value. So what that looks like in the case of a new analysis, I'll start with this property, 770 Skokie. Now this is a newer development in the north suburbs of Chicago. So right off the bat, this is just a preview you get for any property that we've got existing data on. You've got your high-level unit mix, the market rents for those different unit types. So this is just at the bedroom count level. Square footage, the per square foot rent. This is just the most recent that we've got. So most times it is the last week with any big property because there's always something listed. You see the historical trends for asking rent over time from the property website. And so you can see any times where it maybe dips a bit and see, you know, going into off leasing season, oh, the rents kind of drop precipitously there. You know, so it's good to be able to look at this and kind of discern trends just at a high level before you dig into anything. But let me actually go in here and show you what it looks like when you're in the interface. So what we're doing is automated analysis, automated underwriting of the deal. So before anything is done, we'll give you an estimate just based on what they have advertised for market rents versus what Enodo predicts those rents should be. And what we're trying to get at is what the true rent is, not, you know, what they're advertising, not what they, you know, want the market to believe is possible. Because the truth is, you don't always get what you're asking for, and concessions are a big component of this. So this is just the overview page, but it's incumbent on you to go in and actually say, okay, this is a value add. Maybe I want to do, you know, some value add analysis to it. What different amenities am I going to try in this value add to see what I can do to my rents? We'll say it's a family area and you say you want to add a playground. I could tell, because of Enodo, it's quantifying each different driver of value. You can see if you were to hold everything else constant except the fact that it has or doesn't have this amenity, what's the premium associated with that in this market? 1626. And the confidence around that, or the margin of error in this case, is 552. So when you add this, you're going to get $16 plus or minus $5. And to test that scenario, you can actually just add it by checking the box, and you'll see these rents update. Now this works at the unit level too. You guys probably aren't doing, like, you know, you're not always installing a new pool in a property, right? That doesn't make sense as a renovation. But you might do a new refrigerator that's more high end and has ice dispenser. And you can see that in this market, based on all the listings that we've gotten from all the different sources, isolating just this component, you can see what that's going to do to the rent you can generate.
Hey, Marc, does Enodo print off a report that we could include in our offering memorandum to our investors with this type of information?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll show you in a second here. I'll go through this real quick and then I'll do the Excel export. I think you guys will really like this. I'll show you real quick how to upload the rent roll here.
Okay.
You just upload from a PDF, and then you'll be able to, you know, visualize the leases and everything here. So all these things factor into the export. It's like doing your full analysis for you. So I load this. I'm going to get all my beds and baths called out from the
and
rent roll.
You can load it in from a PDF as well?
Oh, yeah. So this one was a PDF. Just loaded it. It could be Excel, PDF. Either format will work. You'll have your analysis versus your unit type breakdown with the market in place in Enodo rent, so you can kind of gauge where you sit relative to the market. It's automatically picking out what your comps are. So this will surface your statistically most relevant comps and actually assign a similarity score to each comp in the market. And then you can select which ones you want to include in your rent survey. And you just select them, they'll pop up here, and you'll have, you know, full rich information on each of these with their own historical trends and their own rents. And this will all be included when I go to export in a second. You have, if you're ever trying to figure out if the operating expenses that you're looking at from the T12 are reasonable for your market, you actually have market benchmarks based on similar properties in the same market, line by line. We're actually predicting based on similar properties what your taxes should be, what your salaries and personnel, R&M, and you've got the simple functionality over here to just load a T12, and I'll go to my T12s folder and compare it alongside your market benchmarks on the left. So if you just load this, again, it is PDF or Excel. You can use either. And what this will do is it will actually map to your chart of accounts. And if it can't pick up a line item, this is using machine learning to do this. So if it can't pick up a line item, it'll just highlight in red. But typically it picks up the vast majority of the line items. This is the line item in the T12 mapped to your chart of accounts without you having to manually do that at all.
Jeez.
You confirm, and then you can see side by side, here's what they had in the trailing 12 months, and here's what the market benchmark is. Now, this is probably not a good case because this rent roll in particular was in lease up. It's just the rent roll I had for this property. It has since stabilized, but you can see how that affects. You've got all the T12 numbers here, and then you've got the market benchmarks, and you can quickly see where they're off on different line items by comparing. We also predict cap rate here. So I'm going to put in something that's probably too low for this market, and then Enodo predicts next to it the actual cap rate based on previous transactions in the same market. So we're soup to nuts doing evaluation of the asset to give you a good benchmark for where you should be able to perform. And now I'm going to export this to Excel, and you'll see what the whole takeaway looks like. It's crunching a lot of data here, so it always takes a second or two. So we open it up. And if you guys, you probably all have your own templates that you present to investors. You don't need to, by no means, use our template, but we've got some good data here that we can provide. You've got your synopsis of your underwriting compared to Enodo's. And in this case, I happen to know that this market has been pretty poor in decline because a lot of Class A properties came on the market at the same time, basically. So they're duking it out, offering concessions. So this is probably a lot more plausible for where rents will be than what was on my pretty old rent roll at this point. You've got your difference in the valuation with Enodo's underwriting versus the underwriting you did in the interface with the cap rate you put in. So you can quickly see what the difference is there in value. And then we actually do the full waterfall structure on our pro forma tab, where you can input your own assumptions and change your financing, your LTV, your hold period. All of this is going to flow through. You've got your own models, I'm sure you guys do. But if you want a quick synopsis, this is there for you. Flows all the way through to the waterfall structure where you can do partnership splits. Back to the overview. You've got your comparable market rents for each property you selected, in-place rents, new leases by month, all the lease expirations, all your trends. You've got your unit mix broken down by the entire rent roll here, by floor plan, and then by high-level unit type loaded from the rent roll. You've got your comps side by side and all their asking rents compared to and the average among them compared to your subject, so you can see quickly where you differ from the comps, the average of the comps, if you're above or below or in line with the comps. Detail on each different unit type and its performance, so you can see where you sit relative to the market in terms of 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds. Your historical rents, and this is only for properties where we have this, right? If it's, some properties like smaller properties or ones that don't really advertise online may not have this, so it's not in all cases. But if we do, we'll show you every single unit level rent trend for the property and how each one has changed over time. This is showing when it came on the market, how long it was on week over week, and then when it came off the market. So you get a good synopsis of how different units are performing, as well as the concessions that they're offering at each given point in time. Now, this isn't always available either because not everyone posts this, but when they do, we're going to include it here so you guys can have access to it. Operating statement that was uploaded, and then the comparison side by side. Your T12 parsed out and categorized for each line item. And then, of course, the pro forma where you can, test different assumptions and underwrite. I know you guys do this all the time, and you've probably got your own models, but this is just a quick synopsis here to get a sense of a deal. And so with that, that's the platform at this point. We do have searchability and coverage nationwide. So if you guys did want to try this out in any market, this is going to be completely nationwide. And so I'm open to any questions or comments you guys have. I'm happy to answer and help.
All right, let me start going through these questions for you, Marc. Let's see. Umesh says, can we expect all rent rolls to come in the same format for the tool to parse effectively? I think you can take it in PDF, Excel. What other formats can you take it in?
It's less so it's only PDF and Excel, but the format is very versatile, right? So it can come from Yardi, Entrata, RealPage, Rent Manager.
Okay.
Even some stuff that is not a standard rent roll template. Like, it's not going to read the back of a napkin. It's not going to do that. But if it's well formatted in Excel, even if it's not a typical property management software template, it will pick it up because it reads the column headers and figures out, they called it in-place rent, but they had a typo. So it's most similar to in-place rent, and it uses machine learning to discern that is the in-place rent column, if that makes sense.
Okay. Bob Bryantton asked a question, how long is the learning curve? That's a loaded question with Bryantton asking about that. But I guess my question is, what type of training tools do you have to learn how to use this?
Yeah, so we've got videos that are on YouTube that we are happy to send over. We're also happy to do one-on-one onboarding sessions. I've got myself and my customer success team here will walk you through a deal and actually do a full deal with you. We're not going to opine on whether or not it's a good deal from our perspective, but we'll show you how Enodo would evaluate that deal and what comps it would detect and explain how everything works.
Cool. All right. Now, what about reports? What does one of your reports look like?
Well, so right now we've got that report that goes into Excel. We're working on a PDF that is not quite in it yet. It's not quite included yet. But for now, you've got some rich charts and graphs and different things that this all translates over into Excel. But you can mess with stuff in the interface and then copy and paste it from Excel into a PDF or other format if you want. Probably end of next week, we'll have the first version of the PDF export working. It's up here, but it's not tied to anything right now. But we do plan to have that very shortly.
Okay, now I'm going to kind of merge Nick and Ira's questions together. Nick says, do you get pushback on validity of the data since it's based on data mining algorithms? And then Ira adds to that. He says, what are the sources of the data and how current? Where do your cost benchmarks come from?
Yeah, so we do get pushback from time to time on the data. It's the number one question we get is, where does your data come from? So we get the data from the freshest possible source first, which is direct to property management software. So we start there. If we have it from that, or if we don't have it from that, then we take it from uploaded rent rolls and T12s. If we don't have it from there, then we take it from the property website, which is, we're sitting on top of 40,000 property websites across the country, just sitting on top, and whenever new units are pushed, we get those updates. And then if we can't get it from there, we take it from the 15 different listing sites. But it's not about the data as much as it's about cleaning the data and how you go through and make sure that the data is usable. So we take anything that's 2 standard deviations above or below the moving average for a unit type. We actually kick out. We don't train on that at all. So we're also kicking out things that are not a 12-month lease. If something is listed as 13 months or 14 months or 8 months, that doesn't represent a market lease. That's with some sort of incentive on it. So we'll kick those out. At the end of the day, the data that we have left, we've spot checked and we've scientifically tested and made sure that the data that we have left at the end of the day is the best that can be gleaned from what's publicly available combined with what is privately available. And, if you do want to go in and look at it yourself, we provide the backup. That's the big thing, is like, if it's just a black box, no one should trust it, right? But if you have the actual, rents by unit type, and you can see week over week how that's changing, go check it for yourself. That's how people build confidence in it. And then, of course, when the predictions are spot on, and then they implement something that the prediction's like, wait, it should be $50 more for that unit, and then they go do that, and then they get $50 more, then they start to really trust it and say, wait, what else am I potentially missing that this could help me achieve?
All right. Now, I'm surprised that the data mining question was your most common question, because I thought Frank's was the most common question. How does it all cost? How much does it all cost? And also, my guess is because it's a web-based program, every time you upgrade it, every time you add value or add new components to the web program, everyone that's already on the platform gets that access. Is that typically how it works?
So there's no raising of costs or anything. If you subscribe to the business plan, you get everything plus anything new that's developed.
He says, can we ask you to check an address in Michigan? Like, how would we go about doing that? Will we just take that address that Doug is giving us and just put it into your system?
Yeah, we can try it right now.
All right, 4600 South Pennsylvania Avenue in Lansing.
So it's garden property type, 1966, 55 units. We've got most recent market rents. So if it is lacking a change in market rents over a period of time, it'll just do a straight line. And then if it bumps up a little bit, you'll see those differences. You can, then do the same analysis that you saw before, if you got rent rolls and T12s and all that, and it will determine what your comps are and what your rent should be. Actually, I'll dive in here, even though I don't have the T12 and rent roll for this. And I'll pick a comp here, or a few comps.
Hey, let me just make sure that you're not stepping on a landmine here. Hey, Doug, is this your property?
No.
Oh, it isn't. Okay. All right. So I was afraid that you were being, that the owner was trying to play stump the professor here. Boy, Marc. How does your data compare to Reese reports, CoStar?
I'm pretty sure we're better than Reese, but we're not as good as CoStar. I would say just on the data front, CoStar is going to have more because they've got a huge ground game. What we do is really we focus on the analytics and the insight, right? Like, what amenities can you add to this to improve your results? What are the statistically most similar comps, and why are they similar, right? What's that similarity broken down in terms of year built, in terms of number of units, the building features, the overlap of different unit types, the finishes at the unit level. We're really delving into detail to help you compare and see, how you perform relative to your competition. Let's see, historical data, and then a lot of times they won't have concessions on their website, so it'll just be blank. But when they do, it's nice to be able to see that.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think, Doug?
Sorry, I'm running really slow over here. It looks good. That's good to see that.
Good.
Well, look, guys, I really appreciate your time going through this. I know you'll have questions if you guys do sign up. I'm happy to walk you through each individually. I just want to make sure people, understand what they're doing and how to use it and get value out of it. And, if you have any questions at all, there's I'll touch on this real quick. There is always this chat section at the lower right. So either myself or Rob will answer this, or Tom. He added himself too. Tom's our COO, so he'll help as well if you need him. I'm good at the data science questions and the data sourcing questions. They're better at usability, like where's this button? How do I export this? How do I do an integration? Stuff like that. So feel free to ask or shoot me an email personally, and we'll respond as quickly as we can.
Great. Now, what's the final question here from Ira? What is the currency of your? How current is your data?
Oh yeah, we update. So we'll go to the last listing that we found, and so this one updated a week ago, and we update every single week for every property everywhere in the country. Now there's a little bit of a lag. It's like a week and 2 days while all the data loads to the system. But yeah, it's scraping the data. It's updating from every different source we have every week. And I think someone asked a question about operating expense data as well that I probably didn't answer. This comes from NAA, IREM, CMBS, and user uploaded data. We have partnerships with some of those lenders that you saw on our website. I go here. We've got some big national groups that give us those transactions that we're able to train on. So Greystone, and then Greystone was pretty cordial about using their logo. Several of the lenders we worked with did not want the logo on the site because they are very guarded about what they use. But they do feed us data on hundreds and hundreds of closed transactions every month. So that's where we get our operating expense data. I wanted to answer that because I completely forgot to, but that's important. So we're training on all that data from lenders, from users when they upload, of course, anonymized, from NAA, from IREM, and from about 3,900 CMBS deals after removing, anything that was low DSCR or distressed properties, because CMBS can be a little bit wonky sometimes. So we got rid of all the bad stuff and trained on the good stuff.
Let me just, I'm going to try to get everything back here. No, I grabbed the wrong, stop a share. There we go. All right, cool. Geez, Marc, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Good stuff. I think everybody sees the value in that. I think it's going to really help us to expedite, some of these deals and, really allow us to make knowledgeable offers. But I'm going to be using it a little bit more. And I can tell you guys, and I talked to Marc about this earlier, with rolling out the multifamily BYE, the best year ever, starting in January. I think we're going to be using this thing. All new members of the owner forum will have it. All of you will have access to it as well. And this is really going to, hopefully speed things up incredibly. Okay, I hope you like that. That was Marc of Enodo. It gives you the type of information that you need to be a knowledgeable investor, but also, and this is something we talked about in the call, and this is key, it is going to give you the knowledge and the ability to sit in front of a potential investor and show them why your deal is a good one based upon market analysis. And that's what investors love to see. They want to know that you've done the homework and you've done the legwork and that your deal is a good one. And this type of information, these types of reports that you can add into your offering memorandum is going to make you look like a genius. But even before you get to that offering memorandum point, you're going to need to make sure that your offer is a good one based upon what's going on in the marketplace. So that's what Enodo does for you. That's what it's all about. And that's why every multifamily investor should be signed up for this program. And if you just look below this screen, there's going to be a link that you can click on in order to get signed up today for Enodo. So go ahead, look below this video and sign on up. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next vlog. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it. This is Charles Dobbins, the multifamily attorney, signing out.